Alright, so welcome to another samples training video. In this training video, we are looking at model builder. We are going to automate a very simple task using the model builder. Now, before we continue, let me just give you a quick description of what a model builder is and what it is used for. Now, simply put, it is a way of automating any task at all you run in your ArcGIS Pro software. So especially if the task is very repetitive for a particular project you are running, and it is also an easy way, or should I say a beginner's way of introducing you to programming, right? Automating. So model builder gives like a graphical representation, a graphical view of what you would rather do with hardcore scripting, right? It is that GUI interface that you'd have, an easy way of just creating a model out of your workflows and then automating them. So from very simple to very complex tasks, and provided the tool exists provided the tool exists in your software and is part of a bigger workflow, is part of a workflow in general, you can automate it. Right now, before we jump into the demo or creating the model, I'm going to give you a quick description of the data we have here. So on my contents page, you can see that I have trees in Ghana, and then I have the boundary of Greater Accra region. Disclaimer is that the trees you see over here are not exhaustive of all trees in the country, just a handful that have been captured, and the data was downloaded from OpenStreetMap. And so if I zoom in, you can actually see the boundary of the Greater Accra region. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to, using a model builder, we're going to clip all the features or all the trees that fall within the Greater Accra boundary, and then after that we could possibly look at adding another tool to our model, probably a buffer. Would buffer all the trees within the Greater Accra region. Okay, now to locate your model builder, you go to your analysis tab, and then under the analysis tab you look for the geoprocessing group, and inside the geoprocessing group you will find the model builder. So just click on the model builder, and then this huge canvas over here would appear, and then the tools or the groups that are accompanied with the model builder. So let me just provide a quick tour of what you see in this ribbon over here. So you can create another model. If you click on this, you can also save, auto save. You can see the properties. You can actually also see the environments, or specify the environments for all the geoprocessing tools you would run. So i.e. setting the coordinate systems and all that. You could equally to also export your data as a Python file or to your Python window, or a graphic JPEG or PNG. Like I said, the model builder is a graphical representation of your model, and instead of seeing the hard written scripts or code, it's just figures or models that you automate to run your process. You could then there's also auto layout, fit to window, and then you could also select, you could also validate, which is a very important step in creating your model. You could also run, or you can run. You could also terminate, right? And then add variables, create labels, and then you could add a tool. And then for much more advanced stuff, you could perform my iterations, iterators, utilities, and all that. So the first thing we're going to do is add our data, our input. So in this case, it's our tree and Greater Accra region for the particular tool we are going to run, right? Some tools don't require two data sets or two features, right? It just requires one, but then for the clip we're going to run, it requires two. So I'm going to drag this over here and this over here. So I'll just put it underneath and then look for my tool. So looking for my tool, I'll just come under here, tools, and then look for clip. So once you type in clip, you can just drag this to the canvas next to your input data, right? So now it is grayed out. It is grayed out because the tool is inactive. We've not placed in parameters, or we've not set in parameters for the tool to be active, so that is why it is grayed out. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect these two to make the tool active. Sorry about that. Sometimes it tends to glitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to it could go two ways. You could just drag the two of them into the clip tool, or just double click on the clip tool and then input your data set. So in this case it would be the trees, right? So I'll select the tree, and then the clip features will be the Greater Accra, right? And then the output feature data set, the name, I think I'll leave it as default and hit OK. So would have this. So now our tool then becomes active. Before we run, I'll just hit validate, which is very important to validate the whole process. And once I'm done, I'll hit run. So would have this over here. So I can go ahead and close this and then go back to my map. Ideally, the results should have showed over here, but then it is stored in our default database. So I'll just go to my default database and then look for the tree clip, and then I'll just add it to my data over here. So let me uncheck this so that we can see our results. I'll uncheck the parent data, the tree. I'll check this and then you see that it has worked. Right. So if this particular tool is consistent or is repetitive, and I must add, it becomes much more efficient, especially if you have a very large data set. Okay, once it's small like this, you might not really appreciate, or the tool then becomes insignificant. I mean, the thoughts that will come in your head will be like, what's the difference with this and me just actually going into this, right? But then it would be much more appreciated if your data set is very large. Now, let's make the tool a bit much more nuanced. Let's add another tool to it, to our model, so that then it really becomes much more customized, right? So let me make Greater Accra the boundary hollow. Now let's go back to our model builder, and we're going to buffer the the trees that we've clipped in the Greater Accra region. So just go to geoprocessing tool and then look for buffer, and then just drag this over here, right? So this is where yes, so I'm going to connect the tree clip to the buffer to over here. So you just hold this, you hold the tree clip and then add a connector to it, to the buffer, right? And select input features. So we're now going to open the tool to configure some additional parameters. So in this case, the distance. So first of all, let's look at the linear, what type of linear units would use. So in this case, let's stick with meters, right? And then for the purpose of demonstration, I'll make this 120. Okay, then I'll leave the rest as default and hit OK. Then our tool then becomes active, right? So let me go ahead and validate, and then sorry, let me just remove this. I'll go ahead and validate and then hit run. Okay, now the tool is done. So we'll switch back to our map. You can see that there's nothing there, so we'll have to switch back to our catalog and then refresh. You can see that I've already run a process like this, so we'll use the second one with the with one attached to the name, tree_clip_buffer1. That is the result of the model build that we just automated, or we just run. So I'll just drag this to the space over here, and you can see that it actually worked. So if I zoom in, you can see the circles or the buffers around the 3 points over there. So let me just check the trees over there so that we can see. Right, so yeah, essentially that is how the model builder works. And the more complex your workflow, the more actually it is suitable for you to actually use the model builder. So you could add more tools to it, depending on how your workflow runs. So if I go back to my model builder, we can now first of all we can save us and give it a name. So I'll just say samples tutorial, right? I hope that's how you spell tutorial. Yeah. Right, and then hit save. So there we have the samples tutorial. Other tools I've been working on myself over here. That's what you see over here. So I'll just close this, and then I can export. So I'll export this as a Python file. So it will come with the extension py, and then hit save. So if you have an IDE, i.e. Jupyter Notebooks, Visual Studio Core, you could actually visual or run the code over there, and it should work too as well. Right, so let's go back to our export, and then we can set it to a Python window. ArcGIS Pro has its own Python window, right? So if I send it to Python window, you would see this. So this is the, should I say, the scripted version of what we just ran. Right, this is the code. This is the Python, to be precise, the ArcGIS Python code we just did. So this is more or less a graphical, right? Very easy for those of us who are not programming friendly. Right, so if I go back to export, export, and go to export to graphic. And then let me save it on the desktop. Let's make it a PDF, right? And hit OK. Let me just go to my desktop and let's see. Let's hit refresh. Where is it? Okay, over here. So all that's logo, go back over here. Yeah, so essentially that is how you create a model builder. It's easy to automate a whole complex or even simple workflow. So I think this is ready. Let me just click on this, yeah, and there you have it. So this is how you can view as a graphical representation. So thank you very much for sitting through this tutorial. See you next time.